everyone. We are two protons in a cloud. For the first time, both protons are in the same room. And it's a weekly live dialogue, so we connect industry experts to influencers and to you, the online technical community. We've got a virtual hangout every week where we chat with a guest about all things cloud, dig into projects that they're passionate about, share some demos, and obviously we make some bad jokes along the way.
And have a good laugh.
So I'm Adrienne Kreft. I am one of your hosts and a technical evangelist for HPE Helion.
And I'm Susanna. I'm your second host, and I'm a dev evangelist at HPE Helion.
So we're doing something a little bit different this week. Sujay and I flew over to Berlin to attend the Cloud Foundry Summit. So we're going to recap what you might have missed and talk about why it matters. And the summit is a two-day event for developers, operators, managers, and everyone comes together, kind of as a celebration for the leading open source paths. So first, we'll talk about the summit's headlines. The Cloud Foundry Foundation, who put this on, passed the 50-member milestone. They brought on Hitachi, Cisco, Citigroup, Royal Bank of Canada.
And SUSE, yeah, I mean, that's a big name, yeah, absolutely. We should also make a note, Adrienne, of why Berlin was chosen for the summit. The European Cloud Foundry community is very active and growing. The Cloud Foundry charter is to have a global community and do 3 summits per year representing worldwide engagement, and that's where now this year it was Santa Clara in California, US, Berlin here in Germany, and Shanghai, which is happening in December.
Right. Yeah, so Sam Ramji, the CEO of the Cloud Foundry Foundation, presented stats to the whole group on the European Cloud Foundry community. So there's 39 self-organized user groups, over 6,000 members in 17 countries here, and actually 456 summit attendees. So that's pretty good for early in the week.
That's very impressive, yes. So moving on, Pivotal was represented at the summit, and they announced an update to Pivotal Cloud Foundry 1.6, which is the 1.6 release. This means built-in support for .NET applications, built-in support for Docker images, and a whole set of other things, so check out. HPE announced availability of HPE Helion Staccato. The branded green bits, as we call them, are built on Cloud Foundry V2 technology and uses Docker containers to package and deploy applications.
Yeah, and we're going to learn a little bit more about why this is so great for the developer community, but we actually have some videos up on the site, hpe.com/helion/developers, the video tutorials and blogs.
And getting started, yeah, so you can go download the bits and, you know, and build your own cloud on your laptop, yeah?
Yeah, so a lot happened. I mean, the full schedule's up online, and hopefully a lot of those talks were recorded, so we'll see some things come out of it. But in the next segment, you'll see Sujay and I hunting down some conference attendees, getting their opinions on all things Cloud Foundry and some of the key takeaways from the presentations. So Cloud Credo, HPE had the booth, some of our MVPs were in attendance, so we just walked around and got to talking.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a great time in Berlin, enjoyed the conference, which honestly is a great networking opportunity for those in the industry, and it's nice to have a common, and you know, a community where people are working towards a common goal. I thought, you know, and Cloud Foundry, the values and what it brings is very, very, I think it's very awesome. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll see these clips and then we'll be right back with you.
Hello, my name is Ziegler, and I've just set up a new world record driving from South Africa to Norway in 9 days, 4 hours with this great car, the 2RX V6 TDI clean diesel. It's an honor for me to be here at Cloud Foundry in Berlin, and HP and Intel are my partners since 2014. Now we have a world record set up in 2015, opposite way from South Africa to Norway, and we have collected lots of data from the car, sent it up to the HP cloud, and this is the reason why I'm here. And we have Sean with me, who will tell you much more about technology from HP in my car here on the booth of HP.
As Reiner said, this car throughout the entire world record attempt was going through and recording data and uploading it via satellite to HP servers. What the dashboard then allows us to do is take all that data, break it down, and look at it in real time or later and see exactly what we're working with. Now, what's really great about this is that we can also then redeploy that same foundation through Cloud Foundry to then go take other applications and use that same data in a different situation. For example, a bank branch can then look down in real time at their cash registers, their ATMs, see how much money they have, see what they have. So all different enterprises can use this same sort of application in all different deployments.
Show you a little bit about the Touareg which we used on that world record run. It's the standard version actually, V6 TDI clean diesel from 2011, but we have done some modification. The main modification from outside is we have bigger tires. We have a big antenna on top which we use for the HP cloud to transmit all the data from the car, and inside, and that looks quite funny, we have a roll cage and also 2 spare tires and spare tanks. If you come with me, if you see, we have the roll cage here and lots of electronics to do internet working and also measuring our time, like the Tag Heuer watch and so on. And if you turn around in here, then you see the back tires and the fuel tanks, and so we have a 3,000 kilometer range for this car to drive. The second part here of the car, which is important for HP to see, is the measurement of the data loggers. And they have been collecting data here and transmitting it with the satellite antenna from sensors all over the car being spread, on the axles or on the engines, so vibration of the axle of the car, and also our heart breath and skin temperature was measured and collected here in these sensor data. So the car was a little bit like an, we call it, what's it called, an innovation car, you know, a connected vehicle, and it is the future for autonomous driving, what we demonstrate here on this vehicle.
We are here with Troy Topnick. He's a Senior Product Manager for HPE Helion. Thank you so much for joining us today. Kind of want to get a feel for what makes you excited about your role in the current projects you're working on.
Well, of course, I'm just newly joined HPE, and it's really exciting to be able to keep Staccato going as now an HPE Helion product, and seeing how well that works. And actually, something I meant to say earlier was like joining this team, this one big team, meeting my counterparts in Seattle and finding that the people that were already at HP, now HPE, knew the products really, really well, and that they knew Cloud Foundry really well. And knowing that there's a whole team of engineers in Romania that were extremely good at developing on the Cloud Foundry code base. So that was a wonderful, pleasant surprise that I've had over the last couple of months, never mind just today, and meeting a lot of the HPE team here.
Right.
So actually that has been the most exciting thing. We've heard interesting announcements, we've heard interesting use cases, but for me, this conference has been about meeting all of the Cloud Foundry talent that we have at HPE, which has been great.
And I agree. We met the Romanian team last night.
Right.
Great crew.
Great bunch of guys.
I did want to get your take too. HPE Helion Staccato,
Yes.
what we kindly refer to as the green bits, are now available. That was one of the announcements here at the summit. So what's your take on it as far as its relevance to the developer community?
Well, first of all, I really am glad that those bits are live and that we have something to tell people about it. I know there were a lot of Staccato customers who were kind of wondering, well, what's going to happen? But, well, I shouldn't say that. Actually, the customers knew what was going to happen. A lot of people in the press were sort of asking vague questions like, who knows what's going to happen now with Staccato now that it's part of, well, we knew all along what was going to happen. It was going to be an HPE product, and it is now. Staccato is now HPE Helion Staccato. People who have used it before will recognize it and know and love it well. And 3.6.1, the latest patch release, rolls up all the good patches we've been releasing since 3.6.0 and adds this lovely HPE green branding, which is why we're calling it the green bits.
Yeah.
And it works really well, and we're very proud of it.
Lovely. So let's focus a little bit on the hardcore dev kind of thing question. And we saw, starting from Sunday itself, right, in the unconference, a lot of talk was around, Docker versus build pack.
Yep.
So, what's your opinion about how developers should look at Dockers versus Buildpack, and what's really happening in that space?
Yeah. Now I missed the
unconference?
unconference talk, but I've heard people talking about it
Yeah.
since then, and I've certainly talked to people about this before. And I think, as I've thought for a long time, is that as a platform builder, you give developers the tools they need to do their job.
Right.
And they may have a preference for using one tool over another. I like using Docker images. I like building Docker files. They're very simple. They're easy for me to understand what's going on to build up a stack. But I understand the benefit we got when we added build packs to Cloud Foundry. And remember, it was Staccato who did this first. The idea that Heroku came up with to extend the platform by giving a tool, a way for people to write scripts to configure a base container. There is a disadvantage to use. I mean, it makes for very diverse platforms. It makes for platforms that can run anything that you can script.
Right.
But it does introduce this staging process that is a little bit opaque for somebody who's deploying code. So, me personally, I love the fact that Staccato 3.6 added the ability to push Docker apps to actually specify an arbitrary Docker image in your own repository or on the hub and just deploy it as an application. That was tremendously powerful for me. I liked building apps that way. But that's me, and that's not everybody. And some people prefer build packs.
Right.
And there are arguments for build packs about the maintainability of, or the updatability of the base container underneath that you can't do with a Docker image yet. So there's more than one way to do it, and maybe somebody with an operations background might appreciate the Docker approach more, and somebody who's strictly dev would appreciate doing deploying things using build packs. Now, I'm very interested to see what kind of Docker support how that Docker support is going to look in Diego. I've had just the tiniest looks at it so far. I'm watching with anticipation to see how that shakes out, but I would love to see Docker files and Docker image support as just first-class citizens of Cloud Foundry, and however that is implemented.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of what you said did resonate in those unconferences and other places where we were talking, but I think I do believe that both of them will stay, and I think it's also how, as you said, right, who is in the driving shoe, like whether it's ops or it's the dev,
Yeah.
and accordingly, and also what the culture of the company is, like what they believe in,
Yeah.
and that will determine whether they go the Docker route or will build pack stay for some time in certain use cases, if not at every use case.
I think going forward it would be smart to always offer both.
Yeah.
Because some companies are going to want to deploy packages, and that's the way they think. When they put things into production, they're putting a package into production, they know what that package is. And others are more along the lines of this continuous integration, continuous deployment thing where the code is always being built. But that code can be built into a Docker image just as easily as it can be built.
Yes.
So there's more than one way to do it.
Right, absolutely. And we have Paula with Cloud Credo with us. And so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you do, and what Cloud Credo is all about.
Okay, so my name is Paula Kennedy. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Cloud Credo. So I've been here at the summit for the last few days. I'm pretty tired now, but it has been an awesome conference. Cloud Credo has done lots of different things, actually. So we were here on Sunday running a unconference, which went really well. We had lots of attendees, over 100 attendees for the unconference.
Yep.
We delivered the training all day on Monday, so we ran 3 separate training courses on Monday, which were for beginners, for operators, and for developers. We had excellent attendance of those and good feedback. We've been doing lots of talks, so I gave a lightning talk yesterday to the entire conference. Colin Humphreys, who's our CEO, he gave the keynote speech this morning at 9 o'clock, which also went really well. And we had one of our team, Chris Headley, gave a talk this afternoon about the 7 stages of Bosch, which also went really well. So we've been pretty busy.
And you gave a talk on diversity.
I did.
So
also today I gave another talk about diversity, absolutely.
And that leads to my question as to at the conference, and since this was a Cloud Foundry conference, there was a lot of talk about Cloud Foundry, microservices, Bosch, 12 factors, all geek tech kind of thing, pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
And what you brought in and what resonated with like most of the audience was diversity. I don't want to go further, but I want to hear from you as to what was, what are the key takeaways and what we should be learning as a community, when we walk out.
Okay, that's a good question. So diversity is something that I personally take very seriously. It's a subject that Cloud Creator takes seriously as well. So we co-sponsored the diversity lunch that took place today. And really the theme for today's lunch was talking about how we can increase diversity in the open source community. So we had a great talk from Jane Silber. We had 3 lightning talks, including mine. And we had lots of discussions about diversity. So I don't think that we solved the problem today, but it's so important to just keep talking about it. I think the more tech conferences we have where it's talked about openly, I mean, I shared some war stories today at the diversity lunch. So it's not always just
I was attending it, and
it's not always just that positive message, but the more we can talk about it, the more we can share, the more we can be open. Hopefully then the more inclusive our community becomes and people feel like they can stand up and say, hang on, this isn't right, and then we can lead to hopefully finding ways to solve it and do better.
We met up with Martin Kish, who you guys saw on the October 15th episode, all about OpenStack. Of course, now you're delving into Cloud Foundry. And one of the things that we did last night was attend a meetup for meetup leaders with Stormy Piers, the VP of Technical Evangelism for the Cloud Foundry Foundation. And Martin, I know that you are very interested in kind of figuring out next steps to continue to build this community. So what were some of the common themes that came out of last night and the announcement for having here at the summit?
Oh, great, thanks. It is a wonderful question, and it is really great to be here in Berlin. We have a wonderful venue and a wonderful platform this summit. And as you mentioned yesterday evening, we had a very interesting discussion about all of the communities and meetups happening in the platform space. And as I'm doing that exactly for OpenStack, it was very interesting to me to see that we have a lot of common issues and a lot of common problems. We need to use the common tools. So I see some improvement here in the platform community that we don't have at the OpenStack, but I see a lot of different things at the OpenStack community which will be implemented here in the Cloud Foundry. So I basically think that we have a very good opportunity for a collaboration between the two open source communities.
We have Susanna with us. So Susanna, why don't you tell us about yourself and what do you do?
Thanks, Sujay. Happy to be here on 2 Protons and a Cloud, coming to you live from Berlin, Germany, where we have been attending the Cloud Foundry Summit. I have to say, probably my favorite part of this year's summit was the unconference event and the lightning talks that happened on Sunday. As you know, I'm a huge fan of community.
Absolutely.
And my role here at Hewlett Packard Enterprise is twofold. One is I run an influencer program called Hewlett Packard Enterprise Most Valuable Professional. And the second side of my role is meetup support. So I'm a huge fan of meetup support and have a lot of passion around communities.
Okay.
What was great about Sunday was it was sort of a split day. So we had several lightning talks during the early hours of the day, and then we split up into an unconference style event into lots of different rooms where many people got an opportunity to share ideas and really had a great time interacting with others. So I don't know what you thought about that event, but I thought it was really great. Great way to start the summer.
I think so. The whole lightning talks and the end conference, broke the ice and people really started to talk to each other, interact with each other. I also like the panel which these guys did, right?
The panel was great. I love the way that the panel worked out, where basically they had a panel of the experts who were there, and then if you had a question in the audience, you had to choose someone on the panel with whom you had the greatest amount of agreement, and you had to take their place on the panel.
Yeah, and now you've become part of the panel, which was, I thought it was great, and people didn't shy away, right? They were like,
not at all.
like coming in with their questions. I think that was really good.
I think anytime you can get more people talking, the better.
Yes.
Which is why I'm also excited about the fact that after this event, we have a great series of meetups happening throughout the month of November. I think the first one is Thursday evening at the Cloud Foundry meetup there in Paris. And Alvaro from our product management team will be there doing a presentation on containers. So I think that's going to be terrific.
Yep.
And then following that, the next week, we have Christian Frank, who is here in Germany, and he is going to be headed to Hungary for the HP Helion meetup, where again, we're going to have more conversations around our announcements here at the Cloud Foundry Summit and keep that activity rolling throughout the month of November and beyond.
So we're going to end with a challenge to the developers in the audience.
Your laptop is now your cloud.
Pretty cool. It's at November, and we want you to engage and learn by actually building applications running on HPE Helion Staccato.
Yeah, so it's super simple. Just tweet us a pic at HPE_cloud of your Staccato command line once you deploy your app.
And you get a free awesome t-shirt just for registering, which you can do online, hpe.com/helion/developers, and we'll drop it in the Hangout as well. But a grand prize winner will be chosen once a week in November for an Oculus Rift DK2 version.
What? I need one. First winner is announced on November 12th, so Staccato push now.
Awesome. End of our show. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.